From January to August this year, export earnings for rice surpassed 30 billion Guyana dollars. And the new government is on an aggressive push to ensure that more lands are opened up and that the country's 6,000 farmers have access to varieties that will put more money in their pockets. A game changer is a new candidate variety that has shown the potential to almost double what farmers usually get per acre.
The rice sector is here to grow. We have to grow this sector, and this sector has to be one of the main foreign exchange earner for Guyana. Over the years, we have seen, and when we were in government prior to 2015, we did a lot of development in this sector, the rice sector. As a matter of fact, we were able to capture many lucrative markets around the world for farmers. But we have seen a decline of this sector over the last 5 years in terms of infrastructure and support to this sector.
We've come to the country's rice research station at Burma, Maikoni. Here, they test thousands of varieties of rice on a continuous basis. They look for those that can withstand Guyana's climate, those that can withstand pests and diseases, and importantly, the ones that will result in a bountiful harvest. We've been granted rare access to this plot of land at the research station. Not many outsiders get to come here. On the ground, they have what is so far now only being called a new candidate variety, and it's an absolute winner. It has been given to about 30 farmers, and of the harvest done so far in this second crop, it has shown that it can give as much as 60 bags per acre, almost double what the other preferred varieties give, such as the GRDB 10 and the GRDB 15.
This variety is better suited for our climatic condition in terms of the weather, in terms of the disease that affects rice in our country, in terms of the pests like paddy bugs, and so it could withstand those things. And also, if the time has reached to reap it, like for example, you have to reap it this week, it can still remain in good shape in another 2 to 3 weeks, and you can take to reap it, rather than it will fall. You know, the farmers normally these rices fall and spoil. But this variety that I am talking about is more suited for our climatic condition, is more strong, so to speak, than the variety that we are presently cultivating.
Rice has been grown in Guyana for over 250 years. There is uncertainty, though, about who brought the first plants here. The general conclusion is that it was brought here by the African slaves, with writings suggesting that it was a dominant food of the Africans before the arrival of workers from India. There is a suggestion, too, that the French introduced grains from Louisiana, USA, in the latter part of the 1700s. It would develop into an industry that could feed others elsewhere, and so as early as 1900, rice began to be exported out of then British Guyana. New varieties were introduced over the many decades. Today, research and development of new varieties is led by Dr. Mahendra Prasad, the chief scientist at Burma. He explained that developing a new variety takes years, starting with a very meticulous process.
What happened, you will have a parent A and parent B, both have good characters but don't have all the characters you want. And you will make the crossing at flowering time. During the flowering time, you will have the male and the female plants. You will take off the male part of one of the plant and then have the pollen from the other plant and dust it on. And during that, so we artificially pollinate one of the plant that we want. And then the seeds that's coming out from that, maybe a few seeds only, and then we'll have to take care of that in the lab for 1 season, and it will take about 10 seasons to reach to this level. And when that one seed has been grown, and what we call it in the second generation, you will have maximum variability. Many different things will come out. We'll show different plants. Some plants will be tall, some will be short, some will have long panicles, some will be resistant to disease, some will have good grains, some will have bad. So no, as a breeder, you will go in. Well, the breeding team will go in and select plants that are desirable to our local condition and that are adapting well, right? And so we select that and going the different generations. It will take 10 seasons to get somewhere like here, or more. In this case, it was more.
Planting of rice is spread across 200,000 acres across the coastal regions in 2 crops every year. Developing new varieties of rice is critical to the survival of the industry.
We have seen when we have released GRDB 15 has taken over 50% of the acreage. It's a nice thing that farmers are making money and everything, but for me, I started to worry, because if if anything would happen with GRW, if you imagine if we export in 70%, we depending on this here for our livelihood and to feed our nation, and if 60% of the if it break down for any disease or pest, then we lost everything. Then we are stranded with just about saddled with just around 40% of our production. We could hardly feed we will able to feed our people, but we're not able to service our international market, which is very crucial for us for survival. We have to think about that. So we want what we call genetic variability. If anything should wrong with 10, we have other varieties that is in the system and that is doing well. So you don't basically put all the eggs in one basket. So you have a proportion of, just as they did with sugarcane, you cannot grow one variety more than certain acreage. Well, we have not gone that far, but we are very much aware what we need to do. So we are trying to have more varieties with more variability genetically in the farmer's field. So if any pest and disease comes to wipe out one, the remainders will be rock steady in there. And we can able to sustain ourselves, our farmers, our country. We're not able to go down our knees like that.
Currently, some 15 varieties of rice are planted in Guyana. So who makes the decision to plant which variety and where?
Whichever variety he or she feels performing well under his or her management, we are okay with that. We do not enforce that a farmer, now every farmer should grow this variety. Because every variety should be treated, and farmers know, all the varieties are being treated a little different in farmers' field, and a farmer may very well get more yield with one variety than the next. And also varieties seem to respond a little bit differently in different location, even though Guyana is such a small flatter land. You still seen varieties performing well in a certain areas. So we endorse our farmers selecting the best variety that can fit his soil and his management system.
With rice being one of the leading foreign exchange earners and critical for thousands of families, the new PPP government is pushing resources into the industry. Just 2 months in office, Agriculture Minister Zulfikar Mustafa knows exactly what he wants to get out of the industry.
What I intend to do as Minister of Agriculture is to ensure that we grow this sector and grow it large. As a matter of fact, my immediate action since I took over the Ministry of Agriculture was to start an immediate drive to get these infrastructure going once again. Clear these canals, get these DNI structure operable, and ensure that the dams are possible for farmers to bring out their produce. So we have had some successes in terms of that. For example, like the MMA scheme, if you tour that scheme, and I would like you as a journalist to go to that scheme now and see how the infrastructure are there presently. We have rehabilitated the canals, we have cleared the dams, and we are now doing work on the boxes and sluices and things like that, so that scheme is one of the largest scheme in our country where we have the most rice productions coming out. With the work that we have done there recently, over 96,000 acres of land will be benefited this crop year, and then that will be extended. And right across the country, we are seeing farmers now are more eager, they are more optimistic that they want to go into rice production. So what we'll be doing, we'll be expanding new lands, but at the same time, we have to look at what we have presently to do the kind of work to ensure that we develop those areas so that farmers will not have the burden of the paddy remaining in the back dam. We have to get reliable transportation and reliable infrastructure to get these things out. So I'm working on that, and we have had a number of successes in Region 2, Region 3, Region 4, Region 5, Region 6.
Mustafa, unlike the posture of the former government to see rice as a private sector enterprise, sees the importance of working with key stakeholders and meeting their needs so the industry can flourish.
You know, over the last 5 years, the Rice Producer Association was stifled by the previous government. They took away the subvention that the GRDB used to give to the Rice Producers Association. I intend to restore that. They took away the subvention that the government, but what we used to give to the Water Users Association. The Water Users Association control the water management in those areas. And as long as stakeholders buy in to these things, then you can have a more harmonious relationship between the government and the stakeholders. So I intend to involve all these stakeholders back on board to ensure that we work collectively to enhance this industry. This is a very important and lucrative industry.
One of the keys to the success of the rice industry is international markets in the Caribbean, Latin America, Europe, and the United States.
What I discovered when I came here as Minister of Agriculture, they have had a contract or two contracts supplying rice to Panama. But Panama only paid part of the first contract, part payment on the first contract, and that was since 2018. What has happened, the millers in Guyana were owed by the Panamanian authority to the tune of $1.9 billion, and the previous administration did not do anything to recoup that money from Panama. So immediately I started out through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and directly to the Minister of Agriculture in Panama. And then I raised it at Cabinet, and our presidents get involved, and he has intervened. And since then, the Panamanian authority has agreed to pay the debt with interest, and also they ask us that they want to continue the market that we have there. You know, when we came out of government in 2015, we have had the Venezuela market, and that was a very lucrative market, but the previous government lost that market because of their stupidity in terms of diplomatic response to Venezuela border issue. But we are looking at Europe. We are looking at new places in Europe. We are looking at the North America too, although, and we are looking also in the Caribbean. We have potential in the Caribbean to take as much rice as possible from Guyana. And you know, with the CARICOM Common Market, and so I will be discussing that when we have Caribbean Ministerial meeting. And incidentally, next week will be the conference of the FAO, where a number of agriculture issues will be coming up. And I am hoping that these issues can be raised there in the working session, right? As you know, Guyana always play a lead role in agriculture in the Caribbean. As a matter of fact, our former president had the Jack Dales initiative, which was adopted by CARICOM. And all the presidents of Guyana normally speak on agriculture matter. Over the last 5 years, we have lost that position in CARICOM. Our position was taken up by Belize and St. Vincent, where our agriculture minister did not push any new ideas or lead on this topic. I intend to rescue that position once again for Guyana, so that Guyana can be the leading share the leading views on agriculture in the Caribbean.
Mustafa's goal is to ensure that farmers get the best help possible to continue farming and to expand.
For example, you know for a fact that this emergency budget that we have had passed recently in the National Assembly, the measures that were implemented by the previous administration in terms of land rental, D&I charges, VAT and agriculture input and machineries, those things were removed. For now, in the MMA scheme, a farmer will save almost $14,000 for an acre of land annually. So if a farmer farming, say for example, 5 acres, 5 by 14, you understand? Or 15 acres, 15 by 14,000. So annually, that money will remain in the farmer's pocket. The same thing, the land rental, as I said, move from we reduce it from $15 to $1,000 back to 2014 rate. We have moved reverse the D&I charges from $8,000 to $2,500. We have abolished the VAT on those items, things like tractors, combine. Imagine a combine for $8 million and you have to pay 14% VAT on it. How much money farmers will save there? Inputs like pesticides, chemical, and equipments, spray cans and those things. So farmers now will enjoy better benefits in terms of more money will remain in their pocket. At the same time, the cost of production will come down and the farmers will save more. Because if we are creating and we are facilitating the farmers in terms of D&I structure and all these infrastructures in the area, then rice production will come down, the cost will come down, and farmers will have more money.
A big part of what happens in the industry, the minister recognizes, is dependent on science. He said the research is important to change the perception of who is engaged in rice farming and who should get involved.
there is a perception out there, there is a view out there that agriculture is a minimal job, that, people who do agriculture don't have any formal education, they just drop out and then go on to do. But now we have to encourage people. There are a number of young people there who have degrees and a lot of education in terms of agriculture. Only yesterday I was able to employ a person at Nari, a young person, vibrant person who have a degree in agriculture, but he was unable to get a job over the last 5 years, right? And he came here, and I look at his qualification. He went to the Guyana School of Agriculture, he went to the University of Guyana, and he has the qualification. And he knows both the theory and practice. And I plan to also enhance the Guyana School of Agriculture. The Guyana School of Agriculture will be more responsive to the needs of this sector, the rice and other crop sector. So we intend to ensure that we develop the sector to a level, as I said, where it will benefit the entire country.
Part of the research is looking into varieties that can withstand Guyana's peculiar challenges, such as along the coast, where there's saltwater intrusion.
Do we have a salt-tolerant variety? Is there a salt-tolerant variety across anywhere in the world? So we'll be studying whether there's a salt-tolerant variety, and to get a germplasm to do some trials, so that all of those areas, of the Danzig flood overtopping and how many acres were lost there, and then for the next 5 to 6 years, I don't think rice will be able to cultivate it there, because the land is saturated with the salt water that is there. But if there was varieties that could have planted there, surely you could have, the farmers would have enjoyed continuing their farming there.
A new project with the Inter-American Institute for Agriculture could be another game changer for the industry.
You will cut water in the field and the amount of seed paddy by 60%. You will be using 60% less water and seed paddy. So again, this meaning that there's going to be leveling of the land using laser level. There's going to be this machine doing the planting. These days we do shy paddy. That's what we refer to as a shine paddy. But we are not. This new new practice will see a machine doing the planting, doing the planting, and in this way you save about 60% of what you were doing rather than against sharing. So again, farmers will be. It saves the farmers. You don't have to have that amount of seed paddy to ensure that you cover your acreage and things like that. So those are the things. Those are the things that we will be looking for into the future.
In the work that the government does to support the rice industry, the work of the Guyana Rice Development Board is crucial.
We do a lot of training with farmers by advice in terms of improving their agronomic practices. We recently started distributing a booklet that we call New Agronomic Practices that farmers should follow. Originally, you may have heard about a 6-point plan that the board was put in. It's now added, we've added some more points that farmers should focus on, and it's now a 10-point plan in which the farmers should follow, starting from land management throughout the whole growing stages of the rice plant. There's a more in-depth, a more hands-on approach in terms of how the knowledge transfer is delivered. We have a lot of, because of COVID-19, we have a lot of more one-on-one sessions as against the large farmers groupings that we would have, the farmers meetings, and we invite to what is sometimes referred to as a farmers field school. We still do that, but to a smaller, with smaller numbers of farmers that would participate and attend. We also do a lot of calls now to farmers. The extension officers, they're equipped with motorcycles, so they will ride down in the areas. I should say that in extension, we have extension officers across the regions. Within a region now, we divide up the region into districts. So an extension officer has a boundary in which he operates. So he will go check in the land preparation, cultivation, and so on. He may make an observation that the farmer has not seen, and then he will call the farmer and advise the farmer in terms of what to do. So it's like that how we have are adapting to COVID-19 and still developing, and still delivering our services. GRDB's work, cuts across the entire chain. So you've met with Dr. Mahendra and the scientists at the research station. So we do research work, and then we transfer the results of the research through our extension arm to the farmers. We also provide quality control services at mills and at ports of exit. That is to ensure that rice and rice byproducts that are being exported satisfy contract requirements or countries' requirements. Important countries may have some specific quality requirements. So our role is to ensure that those requirements are met. And then we have our marketing arm that prepares all the export documents and so on for the exporters. So with regards to the marketing, we have inquiries that are sometimes made to us, and we are also working with an international company that is conducting market research for us. When we get that bit of information, we transfer or transmit that to the Millers Association and the millers.
With all the work being done to open new lands, making access easy, the push to maintain and acquire new markets, and the research into pest-resistant, climate-friendly and high-yielding varieties, what is sure is that rice will maintain its solid place in the agriculture sector, and farmers are not shy about embracing change.
I wouldn't like to be anywhere else to develop a variety except here. Our farmers are very, very, very keen. You might be surprised, I haven't released this variety as yet. And farmers who have grown this variety in their field say, Doc, when you come in with something more new, something new. I said, we ain't release this. He said, don't worry, Doc, I'll release. What new you get in stock? We said, well, you have stock, let me finish with this first.